5:45. Outfit change. Dress for the life you deserve.
Every filmmaker wants creative freedom, yet so few of us actually exercise it. Hey, I'm Noor Nias, and I've directed campaigns for global brands like Red Bull, Samsung, BMW, and Coca-Cola. But today, I'm taking you behind the scenes of our fashion film we made with no client, no brief, and no budget. Just us creating a passion piece for our portfolio. Watch this as we explore the prep, problem-solving, lighting, styling, location scouting, and why today behind-the-scenes content is more important than the film itself. Let's get started. Why we made this. This was not a paid gig, but we paid for it in sweat, time, and effort, because portfolio work is how you get better work. And if you're not building that portfolio right now, there's no progress. And I've been turning down a lot of the paid work lately because I wanted to concentrate solely on fashion work and art pieces. In the past few years, I had pitched hundreds of ideas to brands that never saw the light of day. So I decided, you know what? I'm gonna do it myself. When I had an idea I loved, I called the crew. We had 10 hours, one model, a white cyc wall studio, and a tiny budget, and one goal in mind: to make something worth showing and have fun while doing it. Concept. The idea was to satirize influencer culture. The morning routines, manifestation rituals, cold showers, and grind set content. We amplified everything to highlight just how polished and unrealistic social media content has become lately. We structured it as a series of vignettes, with each shot, serving as its own comedic moment and each setup featuring a distinct outfit. We crafted the entire concept around our available resources, a single day to shoot, some new Zhiyun lights, shout out to them by the way, and willing friends. And that's the essence of filmmaking. Don't dream about what you don't have. Just use the resources that are available to you. Preparation. Let's start with location. If you've ever hunted for a good studio in Bangkok, you know the struggle. There are plenty of options, but few that tick all the boxes. Enough spaces for props, lights, and power supply, and most crucially, the ability to make a shower scene. That was a non-negotiable from day one. We found a spot that worked. Not perfect, but the right balance of size, availability, and flexibility, and price. And this types of shoots, it's all about, compromise. The studio's look felt right. It was clean, editorial, timeless type vibe. And I think it was very practical because minimal set equals minimal production design cost. For casting, Igor, my producer and DP, was invaluable. He assembled most of the crew through himself, the stylist, behind the scenes videographer, and our model. We kept it lean, 5 people total. And here's the thing about directing. You try and delegate most of it. You don't micromanage. Either you do it yourself or you communicate your vision and then let people work their magic. And that's crucial. And sometimes I notice a lot of the beginner filmmakers or directors don't get that right. A full styling crew was out of budget, no designer pools, but I created a mood board and then we sent it to Yeva. She's not even a professional stylist, just someone with very good taste. She stepped in and she went to a massive thrift market where you could get some of the pieces for less than 10 cents. Not everything was that cheap, obviously, but we kept the total wardrobe budget under $100. Some pieces came from the model's closet. That's typical for these types of shoots. Typically, you would show your stylist the mood board and they work with what's available, either through their connections or the model's wardrobe. And only then, when everything else fails, you go and buy new items. And obviously I wanted couture, but with our budget, thrifting was the only way to get that sort of character. Props and set design were equally budget conscious, and we got resourceful by bringing a lot of the stuff from home, like the rug and the vacuum cleaner. And the only purchases were for fashion magazines, candles, wine glasses, and yeah, that was it. Those aroma candles were 40 cents each. Practically free. For the shower scene, we DIY'd a rig using C-stands, an inflatable kids pool, and a watering can. Finding that watering can in Bangkok was its own challenge. A very low-key setup by all means, but I think on camera it looked pretty believable.
Cold shower to remind myself I'm alive.
Working around variables. Filmmaking thrives under constraints. You must always anticipate variables, knowing some elements are non-negotiable, like the core aspects essential to your vision, but other elements have to stay flexible, especially with smaller budgets and smaller crews. And this flexibility is actually a superpower because a lot of the times you won't get that with bigger budgets and bigger clients. From my personal experience with high-end commercials, those projects often have less creative freedom, less room for error, and just overall more restrictions. So I would recommend embracing that freedom while you can. You can have your perfect vision, but you must adapt to real-world constraints or you will fail. Like with our example, I wanted luxury looks, Heron Preston, Dior, couture basically, like I said. But with no budget for that, we couldn't hire a stylist to pull from showrooms or grab runway pieces. So we embraced the thrift shop path. And I would probably also like to shoot on 35mm motion picture film, but again, you work with what you have. And in ideal world, I wanted to shoot in a real house with all the real rooms, but you gotta roll with it. And I think sometimes plan B turns out better than plan A. The simple studio setup was actually perfect, super easy to light and dress and set up, and it worked better for our concept, like poking fun at this fake lifestyle with all the fake setup around. Gear and lighting. We used our trusty old Z-Cam E2S6, which has a Super 35 sensor and 13 stops of dynamic range. And this thing is 4 or 5 years old at this point, but it still rocks. For lighting, we prepared references and tested setups in advance, and Zhiyun sent us their new Molus X100 RGB, which is made in collaboration with Cam McKay. They're really cool, and you can see them lighting this background right now for me. It's an improved version of their previous lights, and even better because Cam helped design it, and they added some accessories. Personally, I think it's a game changer because this package is tiny and lightweight, packs well, and punches way above its weight. Full RGB spectrum, 100 watt, lightweight, surprisingly durable, well built. It comes with a spotlight, gobo filters, and its own compact softbox, and all that fits into a one travel case. So with that in mind, we had 24 shots planned, all with different lighting setups, outfits, and props. It was a tight squeeze for a 10-hour shoot day, but we made it, barely. The day finally came and we started with a quick outfit check to lock the final details, and then we got straight into the set building. Igor was on lights and we started with the most complicated shots first, the ones that needed the most lighting finesse. In almost every one of them we used the new Zhiyun Molus X100 to simulate the sunlight streaks to bring some volume and depth into the frame. It wasn't easy. Without a full lighting crew, I think it slowed us down a lot, but then once we got into the rhythm, we quickly caught up. We even had time for a proper lunch break, which on shoots like this feels like a win already. Our lighting approach wasn't revolutionary. 2 lights, a soft key light, and some rim light through a boom. And sometimes we added a fill or a small eye light for the model, and that's it. Usually when it comes to our gear, we don't really care about it that much. And with this Molus X100, we put everything into a travel suitcase, not a proper Pelican, and everything was there, not organized at all. And that's how we brought it to the set and back. And because we didn't have a tech crew or a gaffer, it was all used in a rush with nobody really caring about its safety. So they took a beating and stood strong, which I think is surprising for its small size. When it comes to lighting, prep matters. If you wait until shoot day to figure it out, you're already lost. It's always best to do a pre-light, pre-shoot, ideally with the model and wardrobe and makeup, but you don't always really have time or budget for that, so we went ahead and did it ourselves. Quick break to shout out Audiio. What I hate most about other music licensing platforms is that their stuff sounds very stock. With Audiio, you've heard the music in all of my videos, it all came from there. Audio's music and sounds are royalty-free, commercially safe, and their catalog keeps growing every day. They have an app, so whenever I'm out scouting, I can pop in and find music that fits the scene. Also, Audio's filtering and Hands AI is super handy. It's like ChatGPT, so I can just type a description of the scene and it curates something that fits perfectly. Then there's Link Match AI, which I use and abuse all the time for all these YouTube videos. I find music on YouTube, SoundCloud, or Spotify that I like, copy the link, paste it there, and it finds something very similar. If you want to have one subscription to high quality, well curated, easy to navigate music licensing platform that is also very well priced, this is it. Use my code in the description to get your first year of Audio Pro just for $59. Trust me, it's worth it. The crew. Shoots like this only work when the roles are clearly defined. Otherwise, it becomes a chaotic mess where everybody blames each other. Even with smaller crew wearing multiple hats, which is completely normal, everyone needs to know their responsibilities. I personally took on directing, storyboarding, conceptualization, and maintaining the overall vision. And since I funded everything out of my own pocket, I guess you could also say that I was a producer. However, Igor handled most of the production logistics himself and also the camera lighting, and he was instrumental in finding our model, our stylist, and our BTS videographer. And thanks to his local knowledge of Bangkok, he helped source props and booked our studio through his connections. Then Yeva, a model transitioning into stylist, took charge of all the looks, the hair and makeup, and accessories. Our model, Noura, brought incredible energy without any ego, and she absolutely killed it on set. Pure focus, no drama. For behind the scenes, we brought in Gleb. This guy absolutely crushed it too. He's a visionary filmmaker himself with great style, so his contribution was absolutely invaluable. Which brings us to why behind the scenes matters more than ever before. In 2025, people don't just want to see what you made. With all this AI stuff, they want to know how it was made. Behind the scenes is your proof of work. It shows you're not just a prompt engineer writing AI templates. It demonstrates taste, leadership, real-world experience, and production skills. It proves you're not some computer-bound hermit. You know how to work with a crew and handle real-life situations. It shows you're having fun and putting in the effort, which I think effort matters more than anything in 2025 because so much content can be AI generated these days, but the stories you tell of how you got there is what brings in attention, the most valuable currency of today. How do you prove effort? By documenting how you did it. And that's why in today's world, you have to really plan for the behind the scenes. You need a dedicated person, also a director in their own right, who will shoot something with taste, style, and vision. And to be frank, sometimes the BTS hits harder than the project itself, especially on the short form like Instagram, TikTok, or YouTube Shorts. BTS content just simply slaps there. And that's the reality of filmmaking today. Problems and fixes. Some shots didn't turn out as we intended, and one of the scenes we wanted a lipstick to snap dramatically on camera, but despite our attempts, it wouldn't break properly. The lipstick's thickness and consistency made it impossible to get that dramatic snap we wanted, so we decided to freestyle. We rewrote shots on the spot, shifted blocking, changed actions. For example, the burpee became a slow plank because it simply looked better on camera. And that's filmmaking right there. That's the dance between the script and reality. Things always go wrong. You always have to prepare for this kind of situations. And never in my life with any budget, any clients, have things gone 100% smoothly. For these situations, you need a buffer in both budget and time. And if you're planning to shoot anything in 10 hours, always book 12 hours. You'll never make it in time. And this comes with experience. The more you do it, the better you know your team and how you like directing and how you like managing your crew. And you'll account for these things. You have to account for all these moving pieces, especially when changing locations. Traffic, unpacking, repacking, it all takes a lot of time. And obviously in our situation with one studio location, nothing changed except for lighting. And that certainly helped. But always have more than you plan for, especially with money. You will always run over budget, that's for sure. For example, if you have $25,000 budget quoted to your client, make sure you're good within $20,000 and leave $5K for extras. If nothing happens, that's your profit. But if things go south, you have that buffer to smooth corners. Always account for it. There's nothing unethical or shady about that kind of practice. On contrary, I think it shows your experience and your ability to take care of stuff if it breaks. So yeah, that's why I think you and everybody else needs a buffer, both in budget and time. And that's why every good director needs a good producer, because a good producer can account for all of that in advance. Post-production was pretty straightforward since I'm an editor by background and I spent years and years editing for director friends early in my career. So I know how cuts and scenes flow together. While I have experience as an editor for this project, I want to give a huge shout out to Gleb, who did most of the heavy lifting in post. He edited about 95% of the piece. I just came in at the end to polish and fine-tune a few things. His understanding of pacing and visual flow really elevated the final product, and I'm incredibly grateful for his contribution. When planning the concept, I knew exactly how to cut them. I always kept that in mind, both when I was ideating and while I was on set shooting. My framework, especially for shorter scenes, consists of these 3 shots. First, a close-up detail that establishes context. Second, we open on our character in the middle of an action. Third, a master shot that reveals the payoff or sets the gag. And while this is not a rigid rule, it works well for my scenes. You'll notice this structure in both this video and my recent short film, Philosophy. And although they're completely different stories, you will notice that the story structure feels very similar. Color grading. For color grading, we used LUTs on set and monitored everything live, so there was not much to fix in post in that sense. And then in post, the process is pretty simple too. I start with Rec. 709 conversion LUT, and then use DaVinci Resolve's Film Look Creator for halation, grain, bloom effects, and all that motion picture film effects. And finally, I apply my custom LUTs on top, which I made specifically for Rec. 709 footage. And apart from some occasional denoising, that's my basic 3-node structure. People often ask me about how I color grade my videos, and there's nothing special about it. I think the Film Look Creator is my secret tool, and I think it's better than most of the other plugins. It's better than the Enhancer, it's more stable, and I think that the customization options in Film Look Creator are actually even better than anything you'll find otherwise. For music, we used Audio, like I said. Their well-curated selection and navigation system made it very easy for us to find the track that we needed. Everything went smoothly that day, mainly because we prepared well. When you have limited resources like a small budget and few team members, good preparation is key. Having a smaller team actually helped us work faster. We didn't need to prove anything with the client or have any meetings or PPMs and pre-PPMs. I think it's efficient to work this way and you just get things done. And I truly believe you don't need a huge budget or a massive crew to create beautiful work. What really matters is having a clear vision, positive energy, and dedicated people. This project meant a lot to us, and we wanted to make something we could showcase and attract the kinds of work we want to be making in the future. And here's my advice. If you want to create something, don't wait for the perfect moment or funding. Use what you have right now available to you and grow from there. Create your own projects. Keep building your own work samples. I'm friends with some of the top directors and they all say the same thing. This advice works well at any stage of your career, whether you're a complete beginner and you've been doing this for a year or decades. It all comes down to you making your own projects. Because companies will usually want you to create their ideas, not yours. If you want to bring your own ideas to life, you need to be making them yourself. Thanks for watching, and before you go, if you want professional treatment templates for film directors, check out my store, Pitch Studio. We have created a collection of templates that me and my director friends use to pitch to global brands. They're easy to use, drag and drop, fully customizable. We now offer both Keynote and Google Slide templates, so everyone can use them, not just Mac users. And the feedback on these has been absolutely fantastic, so I'm proud to share it. Visit Pitch Studio now and get a 10% discount when you subscribe to the email list. See you in the next video.